Uh, Hi.
Hello,
What is your name?
I'm Frederick.
Hi, Frederick. You can go ahead and step in
Okay.
here. You can choose whatever couch makes you comfortable.
Okay.
So how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
Doing okay?
Yeah.
All right. So tell me, what brings you in here?
Well, my girlfriend kind of wanted me to come talk about this kind of stuff. I've been having these bad dreams, I guess, lately. I know it kind of sounds childish, but it starts to like interfere with my work and things like that.
Okay. Well, let's start off with how old are you?
I just turned 30. I'm about to be
Really?
31 in May 1st.
Oh, wow. Well, happy early
Well,
birthday.
thank you.
If you don't care, as we go throughout this, I'm going to take notes just to kind of keep track of some things.
Okay.
All right, so you said your name is Frederick,
Mm-hmm.
and you're about to be 31. How exciting. Good.
Thank you.
All right, so let's talk about these bad dreams a little bit. What's going on there?
Well, I start having these dreams. It's kind of something that's a reoccurring thing from my childhood.
Okay.
We had a bad car accident, and from it kind of just reoccurs whenever I don't know certain times of year and things like that. And I just have dreams about this car accident and things like that.
Okay, so how old were you when this car accident?
I think I was about 8.
About 8. Okay. And so you'd say reoccurring as in obviously more lately than usual, but this happens almost every year?
Uh, from I'll have the dreams every year. Sometimes it's worse than other times, but sometimes it's manageable. But lately it hasn't been.
All right, and manageable how? As in, you can wake yourself up from these dreams, or you can wake up and not feel affected by it.
Well, usually I wake myself up and I'm able to calm myself back down and go back to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Lately I've been waking up. I've been not been able to go back to sleep. I've been at work and something will trigger it, and I can't breathe, so I have to go back to my office in order to try to calm myself back down. And it's really starting to impact my life now.
Okay, well then if you could tell me please, if you don't mind, I would like to discuss the dream itself. Have you talked to anyone about your dream before?
Not really. I've talked to my girlfriend a couple times about it, but I
Mm-hmm.
haven't really ever got into it with her.
Okay.
Kind of closed on that subject. It's difficult for me to talk about it.
Even so, as a child, did you ever see someone to speak about it? Maybe talk to your parents about it?
Not really. No. Never really talked about it.
Okay. Well, if you could just do me a favor and maybe give me an idea of this car accident when you were younger, that would be nice. Maybe what really went on at the time? Why was this so traumatic for you?
Well, okay, so we lived in this area that was really nice. It was right on the ocean,
Mm-hmm.
and right behind the ocean there was this mountain. And so it was this early Saturday morning. We were driving, and it was really nice outside.
So when you say we were driving, were you the driver?
No. Like I said, I was 8.
Correct.
So my mom was driving, my dad was in the passenger seat, and my little sister was in the seat behind my dad. So I was sitting behind my mom.
Okay.
Who was driving. So we were driving down the road, and you know how the seatbelt kind of comes across, the strap here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because I was 8, I was so small, I decided, I'm going to put that seatbelt around the side, and I'm going to try to go to sleep, because these curvy mountain roads kind of get my stomach going. So I try to go to sleep, and the next thing that I know, I just feel that stomach drop. Like off the first drop off a roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that stomach drop, and I don't even really hear anything. It's just kind of a buzz noise.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing I know, the car's turned sideways. There's dust in the air from all the books that were in the back of the car. Just come and bust everybody in the head and everything like that. And my sister's hanging over top of me from her car seat. She's a couple years younger than I am.
Mm-hmm.
And Dad's hanging over top of Mom, the dust is in the car. He's saying something, but I can't really comprehend it. So then,
did anyone witness this accident?
yeah, luckily there was somebody behind us that saw the accident, and the back glass was shattered out. So my dad reached back, and he unbuckled me, and I kind of got back up and kind of stood up in the car because it is an SUV. So I kind of stood up in the car sideways, and I started working my way to the back, and my sister came along behind me, and luckily there was people out there that had saw the accident, things like that. So I go out the back of the window, and I turn around, and I see the car that hit us.
Yeah.
So it was a little truck, like a little S10 or something like that, and it looked like an accordion, just crushed, and you could see the guy hanging over the front of the steering wheel.
So there were two. It was you and another car involved in this accident.
Yeah. So the person that saw the accident pulled around in front of the car. So me and my sister, we walked out of the car, and they took us over to their van.
And you all were okay. You weren't too bruised up.
Well, I looked at her, and she had a bloody nose and things like that, and I'm sure I did. I wasn't even really worried about it at the time, but just like I said from those books that were flying around inside the car, hitting people in the face and stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, they took us over to their minivan, and they laid my sister in the back seat, and they laid me in the front seat, and they were calling 911 and all that kind of stuff. And I looked over, and they had like a 15 or 16-year-old kid with them who they sat up in the front seat. And I looked at his face, and it's just like whitewashed, It's just like total amazement, like this horrific look on his face.
Yeah.
So then the ambulance showed up, and they took us out. So I never saw my mom or my dad leave the car.
Yeah.
The way that the road was that it was, like I said, it was like a curvy mountain road, and there was the way the car had landed on the side of the road, there was a cliff that dropped down about, it's probably 5 or 6 feet or something like that. So whenever we get to the hospital, the first time I ever had this dream, they said they had to bring in a crash cart because they said that they thought I was going to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
So because I kept saying over and over that the car is going to flip over, and I think mom and dad's still in it,
And at this point, the ambulance is taking you to the hospital.
Yeah, they took me and my sister separately from anybody else. So we didn't know.
And the people that had called for you, called the ambulance, did they accompany you there, or did they just stay behind?
Well, they didn't accompany us there, so I don't know what happened. So I was kind of on my own, and then that's about it for the car accident.
Yeah, well, that's really great for you to finally really get to speak about it like that. And so then, after the fact, I know that there has to be someone that shows up and gives this information about your prior health and your insurance at the hospital at the time that you're there. And if that's the case, can you tell me who came? Did your parents show up?
My dad showed up later on, and my grandma lived close by where the accident happened, so she came, and she was able to. I don't really remember. Like I said, I was 8, so I don't really remember exactly all the medical things and stuff like that happened.
Yeah.
So it was. I know they came shortly after whenever they could.
And through all this, I hear that there were people that were there for you. I just haven't heard quite about your mom. What did you find out about your mom?
Yeah, she went into a coma. She had a brain injury, and she was in a coma. So.
Wow. And did she wake up from that coma at any point?
Later on, she did. It was a couple weeks. She woke up from the coma, but she wasn't ever really the same after that. So.
And so, were she and your dad married at this time? And they're still married to this day?
No.
No. And when did they divorce or separate? That's the
Um,
case.
it was quite a few years ago now.
Mhm.
I'm not exactly sure how many years ago, but it was quite a while.
Okay. Okay. And do you ever think about that? Do you ever have a fear in your mind that maybe one day you and your potential girlfriend could not carry out a relationship as your parents have done the same?
Um, Sometimes I do, but it's not really it's not really in that sense for me because I think a lot of it had to do with the brain injury that she sustained.
Yeah.
So I think that's a lot of what happened there.
And do you see your parents now?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they live in the same town as you?
No.
No.
Mhm.
So do you visit them?
Sometimes. Whenever I
Sometimes.
can.
Okay, and when you visit them, is this by car? How far away do they live?
It's for some of or for my dad it's a couple hours, and then for my mom it's a little bit more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, so on long trips like this, do you have any problems with being in the car?
It's not usually the car.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the reoccurring things for me is that sudden drop,
Right.
because it kind of reminds me of the accident. So so anything if you hit a hill going too fast and you get that sudden drop, it's not the worst one. It's not the worst dream.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, whenever you're having dreams, sometimes you flinch or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I feel like I have that falling sensation, and that's something that sets it off.
Okay, and you described this when you were telling me like it was, I believe, a roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
So, does this affect you in other areas of your life? Are you able to go to like theme parks? Do you enjoy doing that, or is that you just try to stay away from that area because it's just too much?
Yeah, usually I try to just stay away from it. I've never really, even before the accident, I never really liked roller coasters.
Mm-hmm.
So I never really tried it after that.
Okay. All right. Well, you also mentioned earlier that this was affecting not so much your relationship. You believe that your girlfriend is. Could you tell me her name, by the way?
Jennifer.
Jennifer. Good. Well, you say that Jennifer is really helpful in these situations, right? Okay, so you don't think this really affects your relationship with Jennifer so much?
Well, in the sense that I mean lately she's been having to calm me down and things like that.
Mm-hmm. And this is at nighttime too.
Yeah.
She lives with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I know she has a lot of stress on her, and it's just it makes me feel bad having to rely on her for that as well. You know.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's very good that you feel that Jennifer is there for you throughout this. Very good. So, you said you had troubles in your workplace. Could you describe what you mean by that?
Well, sometimes whenever a machine malfunctions or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
you'll get that sudden pop and the buzz noise that I was talking about in the accident,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of sets me off sometimes. So I'll just have to kind of go away and just kind of catch my breath because it feels like there's an elephant on top of my chest or something like that.
Right, you feel like you can't breathe.
Right.
Right, okay. So you work in a factory, I take it?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And you've worked in this factory for
9 years.
9 years. Wow. So you were working in this factory during college?
Well, I ended up having to drop out of college.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I started there as soon as I got out.
Okay. You must be pretty high up in the chain then, right?
We're getting there.
Yeah. Good. Okay, so describe to me, if you can, what the sensation you get when you hear this noise using a machine, when these things happen. Is it when you're using it, or is it when you're passing by? Maybe you survey people doing these machines, and even that works you up?
It's usually just like special instances, kind of whenever I'm passing by or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not usually out on the floor too awful often. So it's just usually where I'm passing by and something clicks the wrong way or something buzzes this way or something like that. It kind of it gets like I said. Sometimes it's worse than other times.
Mm-hmm.
But
if you were to describe it being maybe not so bad, then how would that feel versus your worst time? And what do you revert to doing when these things happen? Do you hide away? Do you like catch them and are able to control them?
Well, if it's a not so bad time, I can just feel my heart starting to race a little bit, starting to beat harder, and it kind of feels like my adrenaline's kicking in. But if it's a and usually in those instances, I can kind of just sit back and start breathing, and I'm okay. But if it's a worse time, I have to really sit down and like I usually have to close my eyes and breathe very, very deeply for quite a while in order to get it to pass.
So this has happened more lately than before.
Yeah.
But it's happened in the past?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so as of now, do you feel like you have a control over this?
This last week, it was more the dreams than it was in the factory. But a couple months ago, it was more in the factory than it was the dreams. So it kind of varies from time to time.
Okay. So since lately it has been bothering you so much that these things are, because it's a recurring dream for you, and this recurring dream has been going on and on. You know how to somewhat handle it, and so because you're here today, maybe we can discuss how you can potentially overcome this aspect. So if this dream or if this trouble in the factory is affecting you, we must kind of understand why. And so, you're pretty. What is your job? Are you the manager in your factory?
I kind of oversee. It's probably about a quarter of the factory.
Okay.
A lot of the shipping and things like that. That's why I'm not usually over next to the machines, because I'm not in that section. But if I'm passing by through that way,
right.
That's usually what it's.
And do you have to do like inventory of these things? You go in and you do have to observe people sometimes.
Right.
Right. And that's part of your job description. Okay. So that could be a potential thing that is causing you to get worked up about the fact that you can't handle how the dreams are going and how this flashback is occurring. Okay. So do you have any fears that this will affect you in your workplace in the long run?
Well, I mean, I guess yeah. I mean, it's kind of. I mean, you want to make sure that you can do your job the best you can, you know, and you don't want to be handicapped by certain things. And if something bad was to happen and I was to have this breakdown on the floor, that's not going to look good, you know. So I'm kind of scared about that kind of stuff. I've got some. I don't know if it's anxiety or if it's just or what it is, but it's kind of. I try to keep those emotions from that bottled up. Try to keep it, you know, back so I don't have to deal with the issues then.
Right. Okay. Well, if that's the case, when was the last time this has happened? Was it a few days ago? Did you have a dream last night?
I had a dream the other night. It was just that every time that I dream, the worst one is about whenever the car is next to the cliff. Because every time that I dream, the car gets closer to the cliff, and the cliff gets further and further down. So I keep dreaming that they're still in the car and that they're about to fall over the cliff.
Right.
So I had that one again the other night, and Jennifer had to calm me down. It took me a while to be able to go back to bed after that.
And did you make this mutual decision that maybe you should come in and discuss it?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Well, in that case, it sounds like you just have a lot of anxiety right now. But it also sounds like in the past you've handled it very well, which is, it must be very difficult. It must be very difficult, and I can't possibly understand. So, seeing as you've done well, but it is now piling up for you, there's potential for your job when you want to succeed. So maybe we can discuss some ways that you can calm yourself down and revert away from these anxiety tendencies. Would you like to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, well in that case, maybe I can send some homework with you, Nothing too hard, I promise. It's not
Okay.
school. But I've printed off a worksheet. I have a few different things here, but this one I think is best. This is relating to anxiety. And seeing as your problems lately have occurred over and over, I think that the anxiety worksheet will be really good for you.
Okay.
And I've used it a few times in the past myself. I think it's great. Essentially, the longest in like the long run, it asks you to set aside about 15 minutes to complete the entire exercise. However, I've included on my own a few things you can do during these times where you panic. You've mentioned that you sit down and just take deep breaths. Okay, well, a lot of those things are included in this handout. And I would just like you to take this home, and it has everything here that you'll need. So before, maybe if you get up 15 minutes early and you want to take some time to get rid of this anxiety in the morning, you can do it during lunch and maybe even before you go to bed, in hopes that that anxiety will be released so you won't have dreams that will affect you during the nighttime.
Okay.
And so here it tells you about how to get ready, and then when you go on it says how to do it and how this tension can be released during these exercises. And then your different muscle groups that will be affected, and I know that for sure, I believe that if you can enhance how the body is responding, it may not respond so terribly during your times of like acting up over this dream. And then quick tense and relax. These are maybe things that you could do when you feel very just upset. And this doesn't even have to be over the accident. It can be if you're just kind of fed up in the middle of the day, someone said something that bothers you. You can go back to your office, go back to your room, wherever you are, and just take time and let those emotions out in a proper way so you don't spend time doing them. You don't spend time being woken up or being bothered in other areas. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to give you this worksheet,
Okay.
and you can just take it. It was great getting to meet you today, and I'm hoping that in the future you'll feel the need to come back and discuss it more.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Right.